So we've been totally robbed
That's right.
of all of our culture given to us. It was teaching us, so it was killing us spiritually, mentally, and also physically. And those are all tied in together. So I think because we have a lack of identity, and this may be something that Africans that really are here in Africa, maybe never left Africa, may not understand about those lost souls like us, the majority of us that moved around from the Caribbean in slavery and then back up to America, got mixed in white with the black, making us lighter, right? May not understand that we are the most lost people anywhere to be found in the earth. Because brother mentioned it before, you still have a lot of your culture. You still have language, sometimes 2 languages, sometimes 3.
That's right.
Guess what? In America, black people, 1 language, English, right? For the most part, we don't know. We hear people from Africa talking French. We don't know what they're talking about. You talking Swahili, we don't know what you're talking about.
That's right.
We got English. So we've been totally robbed.
That's right.
Of all of our culture. The religion was taken away.
That's right.
Right? We don't have customs, traditional customs in the family taken away. Everything was robbed and given something else in replace. So now, because we have that identity crisis,
That's right.
it's hard for people to make that bridge now. Because that food does what? Makes you fearful.
Yeah.
Like the brother mentioned. If you don't eat the right foods and you're not your natural self, righteous self, now you're afraid, you're scared. Part of the indoctrination was the whip. Watching women with a baby ripped from their stomach.
Men pulled
right? Take the baby out by hand, stomp it. That was all part of slavery. So because of fear now, when a man does give you, you get the knowledge and you may say, I want to reach my hand out to Africa, but maybe you still have that fear. So until we get to the point where we don't have fear, then we can reach out our hand and we can do more for Africa.
That disparity between, these 2 families. This is a broken home.
Yes, sir.
A broken home.
Yes, sir.
Yes. The other side here, the other side over there. But this time, we want to have something amicably, done. We want to bridge that space created, okay? That trust issues we have between us, we have to resolve it. That fear, that limitation, okay? We have to get it, dissolved. Now, we unify,
That's right.
okay, to one, have an identity.
That's right.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
And also, I like the, is it Black Wall Street?
Yes, 1921, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Oh my goodness. They have instituted or built factories, businesses that is making the money. And see, I mentioned Facebook. And then our people, youth, are so limited that we can't think outside the box. He set up the platform to make money. We only go there and post our pictures, post our nudes.
Right.
And we are happy.
Right.
And he's making money.
That's the simple thing.
Teaching, brother.
See, it's a lot of the simple things. One of the things you just mentioned is, see, the process starts with, I'm going to give you something. I'm going to give you. That way, you get to be comfortable with me giving you. Now, I take you in as a friend, but I'm not understanding the process of giving is for me to understand what you need and to capitalize on that market and control everything through me, and you constantly come to me for what you need, and you already have it. But if I'm not teaching you your worth, and you're not understanding nor have you been taught your worth, then you always look to the one that has been pacified. As Malcolm said years ago, he said we can suffer peacefully with the Novocaine in which they give us. So that starts with, here brother, let me give you this. Next thing you know, you're looking for that constant giving, But now understanding with the constant giving, it's a process of them thinking outside of the box, like you said,
Yes.
so they can build and they can control. See, we gotta get away from the mentality of being the worker and understand the importance of those owning.
In fact, we have a lot of work to do.
Yes, sir.
I believe you all know that none of the shipping lines is owned by Africans. We don't have a shipping line that could ship, your stuff from the US
Right.
to Ghana,
Exactly.
to Africa.
Right.
We don't have the airline.
Right.
Okay. So as to what the continent possessing the resources of Africa by us Africans.
Those containers.
All the multinational, multi-million-dollar industries or factories or businesses in Africa are owned by whites.
Right.
I'm
How
telling
about
you.
China? Are the Chinese also here, big time?
Oh, they are here.
I mean, I know. I
I
kind
tell
of know
people,
they are.
yes, I tell people, they are overpopulated already.
Mm.
They are looking out for places to go and be
Yes.
or stay.
Yes.
And where somebody will go find and stay is where it's vacant. Do you understand?
Right.
Somebody could find a place to be only when that place is vacant. And they look around, USA is not vacant. So Africa is vacant.
Yeah.
Why? Because a lot of you who are supposed to be here to fill up those spaces are not here.
We're leaving thinking we got somewhere else
Right.
Mm-hmm.
better to go.
Exactly. So the space is there. Nobody is living in there. The business are not set up. Do you get it? The people to own the lands are not here. So they come and then they know that all you need is the money. Just pay the money and get the land owned. And they are doing it. So they figure out the challenges in the societies in African countries. And then the solution is, they need business. Right? So let's go set a business there. And not to say that the business are going to be owned by Africans, by them.
That's right.
But to say 3 or 4 brothers, they will put their resources together
That's
and
right.
push one down to come to Africa. To come and take chance of the opportunities. Then the 3 or the 4 of them or the whole family will be there in the UAE. Talk of the Lebanese. You take a move around, go to Spain Test, go to Tema, and you see Chinese mall, Chinese restaurant, Chinese this, Chinese that. What of us? Why can't we have African mall? Black Americans mall?
Yeah.
Or what those stuff coming in.
Yeah.
So you get it? And that is what we have to do. That is what is going to result as something positive.
That's right.
Absolutely.
We could complain, we could talk and talk and talk.
Right.
That won't solve the problem.
Now the thing.
The killing in the States, we could demonstrate and demonstrate and demonstrate. They will keep to kill us.
Correct, brother.
Because they feel we don't have a place to go. They feel we don't have an identity, like you said. But let's start moving into our continent, let them know we know where we come from.
That's right.
Yes,
Correct.
And then you see the shaker.
Yes.
Correct.
Do you get it? So that is what we have to do. Practical. It's not much of the talking about. The real thing ought to be done. The action.
The action.
They have poisoned us. Their trust is not there. You don't trust me and I don't trust you. You feel I will rob you.
That's
and
right.
I feel maybe you also do something to me. And so we can't work. And that is why the continent is still not developed. Countries in Africa can't trust themselves to do business and do other stuff. So nothing could be established because you are free to even come to the continent. Somebody goes like, I've been told when I come to Africa, I'll be suffering from malaria and stuff. And I asked, do you know even Donald Trump's wife came to Ghana, spent some days? Do you know that George Walker Bush was in Ghana, Obama came to Ghana? Did you ever hear that they fell sick? Huh? These are some of the lies they tell you.
Oh yes.
They tell you not to come to Africa, and then they take a U-turn and come.
Yes.
So when they tell you, when the leaders tell you don't go to Africa, it's a jungle, they take a U-turn
That's
and come.
right.
That's right.
Right.
They lie to you and they come to establish the businesses, I'm telling you.
That's right.
Correct,
You
brother.
go build the multi-dollar businesses established in Africa or in Ghana, and then you know where it's coming from.
That's what I mean by the poison and the lies that the media puts out there. They paint Africans as being animals, and they need to be tamed by Tarzan because he's king of the jungle. You see the subliminal images that they put in front of us, that Africans are so much savages that you got a white man swinging from vines and trees that's controlling you. And then he got his white woman that's supposed to be so superior, but yet here in America you have that same white woman that's emulating and trying to have everything of the naturally that a black woman has, the lips, the butt, the hair, and everything, because they have no attraction that is natural as the natural beauty as you get off. And when we got off the plane and came into to Ghana, it was so much that it was overwhelming to see beautiful black people from the beginning into the end.
Right.
That greeted us when we walked, when we got off of the plane. When you look at our women and you say, "Oh my God," and then you have in the States in which the white man is right now. All he wants is a black woman. He don't even want the white woman.
Yes. Even the Chinese.
All of them.
They want African women.
Everywhere you go, they want that black woman, but they don't want their own because they know the strength that they have.
And the problem is everybody wants the black woman, but black woman is so lost that she's trying to be like the white woman. She wants
America women wear pants. And there's a saying, who wears the pants? The man or the woman?
Correct.
We are losing it. We have lost it already.
No, you still have see. This is part of the culture that is still here. This is what I mean by having culture.
Right.
The average you see 90% plus here. The women still wear with skirts. You go to America, you might see one woman walk down the street. They got on a dress or a skirt. She got on pants.
That's right.
Let me read you that. They try to kind of import this culture in.
I know they are. I was watching TV where they got the women where they want them to have the straight hair and all that. You know, in which they and I seen a couple of them with the weave and the eyelashes. They poison. It's the
one thing that we learned, during our visit here in Ghana, when we went to Kumasi to be inducted into our tribe, the Ashanti, the chief was teaching us as related to the culture, as related to our women. And he said that the Ashanti tribe is very big on respect for our women, that we love our women and respect our women. And part of the tradition in history is that of strangers. You talked about Black Wall Street. So we had Black Wall Street in America, the independent economy. And even after that, when we were so-called segregated in America, black people, we had our own ecosystem, basically, our own structure. We spent our money within the community, right? But it wasn't until we wanted to take away from what we were doing to join on to what the colonizer was doing or the former slave master was doing, where we lost those resources, right? And as far as us working together, I would say to all black people throughout the world, if you study all other independent nations, from the brown, the red, the yellow, and the white, you will see that they all work independently and they all have their resources. So if it's working for them, surely it should work for us. Why should we be any different, right? Why should we be denied freedom, justice, and equality and independence? So one of the things that I like about Ghana, it was the first independent African country this side of 6,000 years under the rule of the Europeans, right? And the great thing about Kwame Nkrumah, when he was part of that panel of the 5 other brothers, he said, we want freedom now. Freedom now. See, Jesus ain't say, hey, you know what? Let's wait to accept God. Give it a few more years, then we'll accept God. No, Jesus said, accept God now in your heart as your Father. Say this prayer. When he came on the scene, he taught this and instructed us in this. And we say that Jesus was a freedom fighter, that Jesus taught freedom, justice, and equality. So when we get acquainted with the real understanding of Jesus and who he really is, then you will see us rise as a people in the name of God, in the name of the collective, as opposed to us not living our godly way. And God wants us to have freedom, justice, and equality. God wants us to have everything that all other independent nations have. And that's what we're here to establish. Businesses and create the different habitats that we sorely need in the continent of Africa, over in Asia, as well as in America.
Right, now we are going to work together to make sure the transition. So what are some of the things we're going to do? What solutions are we bringing, to mitigate, relegate these problems we have made mention of?
I think that what you mentioned earlier, before we actually came live on radio, is going to play a giant role, because land is the basis of freedom.
And when we have bought them, when we own them, the Chinese man can come and buy from us.
Exactly.
Because we know that it's our land. Okay?
So the land is the basis of freedom. So for us, on our side of the water, the promotion of, the return to Africa or return to Ghana, it has to be related and connected to the ownership of the land, because that's the base of freedom. The obstacle in that is the mindset of the people. Also the travel expense. Because now, many people feel as though I made it. They have a good job. They're making good money. They get a good check in America. They have a family. They have all of their ties. If you decide that you're going to go and come and live in Africa, it's a major step. That's the reality of it. That it's a major step to leave America. You have a home. You have your assets. You have everything. You have your connection to your mother, father, sisters, family. To leave and say, you know what? I'm going to go to Africa and be free. It's a small minority of people that's actually going to make that step. That's my opinion. That it's a giant step. But in the meantime, to promote a partial move, ownership of some of the land that you mentioned earlier. You have 2,000, I think, acres that are ready now to be sold. So once you give us the mathematics on that and the land that's available, the location and the cost, then we can begin to promote the ownership of some of that land. And that to me would start a transition of people coming, not full-time necessarily, but part-time, because of like I said, the travel expense, it's costly to come over here.
Because we don't own any airline.
We don't have airlines,